Okay, today we're continuing our discussion about the brain and how the brain works. Last week we talked about brain rule number 1, exercise makes the brain work better. And today we're going to talk about rule number 2 and 3. And rule number 2 is sleep well, think well. And again, these are the brain rules from Dr. John Medina's book, Brain Rules. But the second rule is sleep well, think well. And he talks in this chapter about how important it is to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. And so this week, as part of your assignment, you're going to keep a sleep log. I want to know how many hours you're sleeping. I want you to know how many hours you're sleeping. And I think, most of my students, I would say normally when I ask this question in class, I get about 50-50. Right? About 50% of my students get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and about 50% of my students get probably closer to 4 hours of sleep a night. And I mean, there have been times in my life too when I got an average of 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night. And I thought I was I was fine. And I was fine. I was getting everything done. But all of the research from our brains, right, shows that 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night is actually damaging your brain, okay? Our brain needs 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. And so when I look back in the time of my life that I was averaging 5 hours of sleep a night, I was not prioritizing sleep. I was going to bed whenever I got everything done, which was usually like midnight. And then I was also teaching a spin class at 5 a.m. So I was waking up at like 4:30. And it just was not a time when I was prioritizing sleep. So what I would tell myself then, if I had to go back, would really, at that point, then COVID hit and my class was canceled because the gyms were closed. And I didn't have as much stuff to do because we weren't going anywhere, and all my classes were online, and it just was a really different life stage at that point. Everything just slowed down. I don't know if COVID did that for you too, but everything just slowed down, and I got to experience regularly what 7 to 8 hours of sleep felt like, and it was amazing. And I have not gone back. And so I just want to challenge you if you think, no, Ms. Gilbert, I'm fine with my 4 to 5 hours of sleep at night. Or even, I cannot get 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. I just want to challenge you that maybe there are some things that you're doing that are preventing you from getting that amount of sleep that you need to change. Okay? So, I quit teaching spin. I quit waking up at 5 a.m. I now wake up at 6:30 and get all of my workout done, but I'm also in bed at 10 o'clock. And so, I want to challenge you to figure out a way where you can get 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. And that's the goal. Okay. And then the second brain rule we're going to talk about today, number 3, stressed brains don't work the same way. And I think probably, if you're like me, there has been a little bit of COVID stress that's happened, just things that are changing and have changed, or maybe you're just stressed because of fear. Anyway, so just quite a few opportunities for stress. And I am posting a video from Dr. Ball, and she is going to talk about meditation and mindfulness and how they reduce stress. And, every time we talk about mindfulness, my husband is like, oh my goodness, get out of here with that. But there is really compelling information about mindfulness and how it improves your brain function. And now, I did want to take a quick minute just to remind you that there are counselors available at South Plains for free, okay? So I have to pay for my counselor. Let me just tell you, free counseling is pretty cool. And so I want you to take advantage of that if there are things in your life that are creating this stressful place, okay? Like he talks about in the video, like a bad boss, a bad marriage, right? Those things that are creating that stress. But for many of us, right, we are creating our own stress by just allowing our brain to kind of go crazy in this, to focus on our failures, to focus on the fear. And we can take back control of our brain through breathing. So I just wanted to remind you of that, to teach you the 4-7-8 breathing. So whenever I am feeling stressed, I take a minute and do some deep breathing. And what it does, you know, in the same way that when I go into fight or flight mode, right, my heart rate goes up, my breathing gets quicker, I'm hot, you know, my body responds to that stress. And so in the same way, I can force my body to return to that non-stress by controlling my breathing. Because when I control my breathing, when I'm breathing deeply, I cannot be stressed, right? It turns my brain off. So we're going to do the 4-7-8 breathing, and you're going to breathe in, close your mouth, breathe in your nose for 4 seconds. 4. Hold it for 7 seconds. And then breathe out slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds. And you just do that as many times as you need for your brain to calm down. So deep breathing helps you manage stress. Also, I read this book this year called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer, and it was fantastic. But one of the things that he talked about was slowing down, and one of the ways that he slowed down was managing his phone. And so I have done that, and it has made a big difference in just the level of stress that I feel during the day. So he gives two primary recommendations. Really, he wants you to like throw your phone away and get a non-smartphone if you want to do that. I do not. But he talks about removing all social media from your phone. And so you just don't have that like quick jump into social media when you're standing around out. And so that just makes a huge difference. There's quite a bit of research that talks about stress related to social media. And so that's a big deal. So that's one thing he says to do, is remove social media from your phone. And the second, which this one has been such a huge change for me, is stopping all notifications. So you have to like click into the app on your phone to get the information. So like I still have on my, I still have like the bubbles, right? Got my text messages, like how many texts I have gotten. But it doesn't, like when I just click my phone, it doesn't show me those texts. So I'm not getting constant notifications that I'm having to manage, right? And so depending on kind of how you have your phone set up, that can be a lot of notifications or not very many. I also don't have email on my phone. So that has made a huge difference in my stress that I have noticed. So anyway, those are some ways that you can manage stress, and I just want you to be aware of stress and the negative impact that it has on your brain, and to make some changes about that stress. So, excited to see how you're going to apply that.